Okay, I'm not going to talk very long. I'm just going to talk about the recent events with the National Party debacle. I mean, we all, I'm not going to go into it because we're all pretty sick of hearing about it, but it just sort of shows what sort of people are in our major parties. And it hasn't really changed the opinion of the public so much, really. I mean, the people who support Labour are going to keep supporting Labour, and the people who support National are, defending the actions of Simon Bridge and whatnot. So it's really, all it does is it just shows the problem, that people are still going to vote for National, even though they've seen what's going on. They'll still vote for National because they're not Labour, because they'll say, well, we have to do anything to stop Labour from getting in, and if that means voting for National, then so be it. But nobody wants to vote for somebody who actually represents their actual beliefs, their actual political beliefs. They just want to vote for someone who's going to win, so that at the end of the day they can say, well, my team won, so that's that. Otherwise they feel like their vote's wasted, and I think it's a really bad mentality to have. So our real problem is that we let the media divide us into groups, and they demonise people for taking on topics that are politically sensitive. Like, you can be for traditional marriage without being a homophobe, and you can be against abortion without being against women, and you can be for limiting immigration without being a racist, and you can be for lower taxes and less wealthy without hating poor people. But as soon as you say you're for lower taxes, you immediately hate social services. As soon as you say you're against abortion, you're immediately against women's rights, because that's just how they label you. That's how they shut you up. I'm not a racist, but I get called a Nazi for supporting free speech. I mean, I went to Kelston Boys High School. Racist kids don't last very long there. They get eaten pretty quickly, So you improvise, adapt, overcome. So why is it that the working people are out here standing for free speech and liberty, while the university students are calling for hate speech laws to be enforced? And
that's a good question. That's a good question.
And they're claiming to represent the working class. What kind of a joke is it for a 20-year-old to tell me about the joys of communism? Advocates of communism don't see themselves as the builders or the painters or the truck drivers or the rubbish collectors. They see themselves as the ruling class, the intellectuals, the elite. They're the ones who are going to be, making up all the rules and spending your hard-earned money, right? That's how all these little 20-year-old communists see themselves. They don't see themselves as the working class, even though they're always advocating for the working class. Like the unions, they're always saying, oh, these working people, we need to, get them some more money. They don't talk to the government and say, hey, can you stop taxing these poor people? They say to the business owners who aren't taking home a paycheck, who are losing money and putting payroll on the credit card, they're saying to these people, you need to start paying these people more. And if you can't afford to pay them anymore, you shouldn't have a business. And then that business goes out of money, and the people lose their jobs. But they don't think that far ahead. And Auntie Jacinda's, she's going after the fuel companies for daring to put a 30-cent markup per litre, while she's sucking down $1.20 on taxes. But she's not willing to give that up, And she's saying, oh, we have the highest pre-tax cost, right? But the reality is they're taking 4 times as much in tax, right? National did it, Labour did it, and they're both as bad as each other. But neither of them are willing to give it up because it's just such a lucrative source of income. I mean, you can tell she's never had to pay staff or run a business, because she wouldn't be going after a 30-cent markup. She's just like the uni students and dropkicks who call for landlords to have really strict price controls, because they think that the rent goes straight into the landlord's pocket and they just go out and spend it on whatever they want. The reality is that goes on whatever mortgage is left to pay off. I mean, the house is the investment. The money doesn't come from the rent. The money comes from the investment after you sell it. The rent just goes to maintaining the property. Usually they lose money on having tenants there, right? And the more price controls and regulations you put onto rental properties, the less people actually want to have a rental property. They'll just hold on to the house and they won't rent it out to anybody. And that's going to really hurt the housing crisis that we heard about, It's sheer ignorance, and the ignorance is being harnessed by the politicians who they channel the greed and the envy from the ignorant into political power. We are overtaxed, and there's a certain demographic that doesn't care about taxes, right? People who don't pay taxes, like university students who are busy demanding for the taxpayer to pay for their studying fees. and beneficiaries who don't pay taxes anyway. There's always going to be that demographic who doesn't care that taxes are going up because it doesn't affect them. They don't pay any taxes. We need to change the attitude that's permeating through our youth, and before it's too late, we get entirely sold down the river. Thanks.